Hello and welcome. I'm going to record my second attempt at the qualifier round for the Excel World Championships. So I was on the live stream today, and it would be fair to say that this round did not go smoothly for me. Um, People have protested my description of this because, I ended up getting a relatively good score, uh, but I definitely stand by my claim that the round did not go well. Uh, Sometimes solving is smooth and fun and wonderful, and sometimes, like today, everything seems to be going wrong. There were a few factors in this. One was, I was on the live stream, which meant only the first two people could get the bonuses, and I had figured out during the reading time that bonuses 1, 2, and 4 no, sorry, 1, 2, and 5 were ones that I could get relatively quickly. So I tackled those in that order. And by the time I got to 2 and 5, I think I got them all done in like under a minute. But by the time I got to 2 and 5, the points were already gone. So that definitely threw me off because Brit and Thanasis both got them in lightning fast and probably had more sense than me to skip number 1 at least at the start because that wasn't as simple as these two. But anyway, that was that. And also, I don't know, my computer seemed to be running a little slowly at the start. I was getting like high CPU usage warnings, and then my Excel crashed a couple of times early on. So that kind of threw me off. And then just generally my style, they're very, very long text on a few of these questions. This one here, this one here, this one here. And my style in general is to kind of skim and just have a go and see how it goes. And especially on the live stream, that's somewhat incentivized because you can put your answers in and see if you score the points in a way that you can't when you're streaming live. So I kind of tried to blag it with these uh, and then just got kind of increasingly flustered and stuck, and like I'd try to come back and skim for a second and fix something and then go back. Like I probably should have just taken a few minutes to read through every line of the instructions carefully before starting, and I'm sure things might have gone a little bit more smoothly. But it's hard to realize that in the moment, especially when you've just missed out on a couple of bonus points because two other people have been faster than you. So now I've taken a deep breath, and I'm going to try again. Um, the deal is, a little bit different on the live stream than otherwise, but we get to kind of spend a couple of minutes looking at the case in advance, and obviously knowing that the bonuses were only available to the first few people, I looked at these bonus questions right away. So first, select the lowest resource prices available across games 1 to 20. So in other words, the minimum of each of these prices for each column. I've still got my keyboard shortcuts over here, by the way, since I had it installed for the live stream. Figured I'd leave it on. And what's the cheapest that you can buy a Griffin for? Um, and then what's the total coin value of all the resources in the mine? So here's your mine, and then for each mineral, you've got a coin value. So that's just a straight, look up everything in here and sum them up. And then for the Lana banana level, it was literally just count the number of bananas, which is count A or count if or anything will get it done more or less instantaneously. So that was basically what I had figured out in advance, and enough chit chat. Let's dive on in. So do what I probably should have done the first time. I'm going to say some X lookup of this whole thing in. Oh man, this keyboard shortcuts are kind of blocking my view here. But anyway, in there, returning from there. I put in otherwise 0 just to be safe. That's good. And then this one is just count A. Ah, still got that slow tab thing going on, but anyway, count A here down to the end, and that's good. Okay, and then you can do this one, which is a little bit slower, but not crazy. So this is just going to be some, you can do it on the whole column, or since a Griffin only requires 4 minerals, you can do it just on that. So that times by col, these same first 4 minerals, comma min, and then times 1.1. It doesn't mention it in the bonus, but it does mention it down here. Producers add a 10% markup for the raw materials cost. That was a little sneaky, not mentioning that in the bonus text up here, but anyway, is what it is. All right, so that's the sort of immediate bonuses. This one requires a little bit of setup, and this one requires doing basically all the work on the case. And this is the one level where I got 0 points, so that'll be a particularly interesting one to revisit. I haven't looked at the case since I finished up. So, all right, level 1 was relatively straightforward. You just had to look up a ship in here, returning from this list of minerals, multiply the minerals by the costs, and then multiply by 1.1 for the 10% markup. The only slight twist was that these were merged cells, which is just cruel. So I'm going to just call it sh, and I'll call this shmin, and then we can just say equals, I'll do it on the example first, I guess. We'll say sum of x lookup, this in sh returning from shmin times this times 1.1. We're good. That's the one level that actually was pretty straightforward, at least for me. Okay. So now Vlookie. This was definitely one where the scanning killed me. So I'm going to actually read through it now because I said that's what I should do, but I'll explain where I went wrong. So this is just background. Vlookie is a dwarf. He goes mining. This is the mine. He moves around in here, blah, blah, blah. These are the different things that he can find in the mine. Starts off with 100 HP. He loses points while mining and carrying mercury and uranium. There's notes here. You lose 1 HP for every unit of mercury every hour he carries it. This also applies during the hour when it's being extracted. And the same note for uranium. You lose 1 HP for every unit for every hour, including the hour you're mining it. Okay, then this is just saying the mine is there. There's a separate tab with the mine in number form if these didn't render correctly for you. One of them doesn't render correctly for me. I know I can't see stone. It's just a square, but whatever. Even if you can't see them, they work fine for formulas, so I just used this version. I've hidden the number version. So let's read Vlookie movement. In each of the games, he selects a row in the mine provided for each game, so that the only input is a starting row, and starts mining this row from left to right. As he reaches the end of the row, Vlookie moves on to mine the next row from right to left. This is what I missed in my hurry. I was like, okay, fine. So he reads across, boom, 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 boom. And if it's boom, 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 then you can just use toCall to flatten this in the order that he'll visit them. Read across this row, and then across this row, and then so on. But you cannot do that, or not directly anyway, if he's going to do this sort of snake pattern. So when he finishes the second row, he moves on to mine the third row left to right, etc. in a snake-shaped sequence. So in example 2, he starts from row 2. So he starts in B2, goes along C2, D2, E2. Oops. So that's here, B2, C2, E2, D2, D2, E2, wrong way around, to AM2, AN2, AM2, AN2, then AN3, then AM3, AL3, AK3, so back along here, back to C3, B3, B4, C4, so back to C3, B3, B4, C4, D4, etc. This says actually he'll be finished in cell AB2, as by that time his HP will fall below 0, so he only makes it as far as here. If he reaches the end of the mine, cell AN40, down here, he immediately stops mining and goes to sell the resources, even if he still has positive HP. If he needs to move through a non-empty cell, it takes him 1 hour to extract. This is another thing I missed in my scan. If the cell is empty, the dwarf moves through it instantly. So this is an empty cell. Slightly confusingly, at least for me, again, another thing that I tripped up on in my haste, it's not blank, it's a space. So you gotta watch out for that. So that's the empty cell. Cell is empty, he moves through it instantly. If after finishing mining a cell, his HP falls to 0 or lower, he immediately stops mining, goes away, and sells his minerals. But he still gets the resources from the cell where he falls to 0. After mining the resources, he puts everything in his backpack and moves on. He carries all the resources with him, adding more resources, blah, blah, blah. At the end of the game, he sells everything for the number of coins. He can mine as long as his HP is more than 0, mining and carrying mercury. Okay, so even just revisiting all those instructions took me minutes, and you can see why, at this point in the game, busily freaking out that I wasn't going fast enough. That was making me nervous. So, first things first, like I said, I flattened it with toCall, but you can't do it that way because you have to do the snake pattern. So there definitely is a way that you could do this with dynamic arrays, but I'm going to show you a simpler approach, which is, okay, we got 39 across here. So the order in which we'll go is sequence, comma 39. That's to go across. And then here we'll do sequence, comma 39. We're going to start from 78 and in steps of -1. So that'll take us back down from 78 to 40. So in other words, this is the visiting order 1 to 39, then 40 to 78. And then thereafter, it's just going to be this plus 78, and same again, and same again, and same again, and we need to get to a height of 39, so we need 37 of these. And let's see, it's an odd number, so we should end here. 1521, which I think is 39 squared. It is, okay. So, and another quick sense check. Let's just put a color scale on it. No, you can't even see the left versus right on the color scale, so never mind that, but whatever. That's working. So now I'm going to give this the name, I guess I'll call it MN ord, mining order. I'm going to give this the name MN for mine. And then I'll call this MN sim, mine symbol, and then MN coin. And I think we basically have what we need to build a model for this, so let's go do that. So I'll call this VL for Vlookie. Start with example 2. We're going to XLOOKUP this in here from column B, returning from column G. Okay, now the subtlety is you always start off going to the left. So in other words, if I start in row 2, I'll go across this way. If I start in row 3, so if I just kind of impose this onto the map and just say, okay, well, I'm skipping the first row here, so I'll skip the first row of the ordering, then I'd get it wrong, because then I would start going left to right. So what I'm going to do is if I drop a certain number of columns from the top of the mine, then I will drop the corresponding columns from the bottom of this, so that I'm always imposing the top of this on whatever one I start on. So what's that going to look like? Well, first, if I start in row 2, it means I'm not dropping anything, because start in row 2 means I'm skipping row 1. Row 1 is out of the mine, which means that I'm basically starting in row 1 of the mine itself. So I'm going to say drop mn, and the number of rows is going to be this minus 2. So in this case, that gives me the entire mine. And I'm going to flatten that. And then I'm going to also flatten, I'm going to also drop from mn ord, but now it's going to be minus this plus 2, which again, for this time around, is dropping nothing. And then I'm going to call that as well. And then, so you can see it's flattened it in reading order, so it goes up to 39, but then it starts again at 78. But what I want to do is sort these in the order of these numbers. So I think I'm just going to combine it, because I don't think I actually need the separate pieces really. So I'm just going to say sort by, sort that by that. And let's just do a quick sense check. So 39, I get to this mercury, and then I go stone, uranium, magnet as I go back across, stone, uranium, magnet as I go back across. Okay, so I think that's working. And then the rest of this, I think, is pretty straightforward, although let's see, because I haven't actually had a chance to check if once I fix that my answers become right. But okay, so let's grab uranium and mercury. I'm just going to put them here. Then I'm going to say this equals this. That's why I put them sideways, so that it would broadcast. And then I'm going to say bycol or by row. So that tells me this is. So we're going to get in trouble pretty quickly. I'm going to make that minus minus. I'm just going to call that harm. Then I'm going to have cum harm, cumulative harm. And that's going to be scan from 0 through this sum. And the nice thing about making this all dynamic is that, if I'm now in whatever 13 rows further, there's now, instead of being 1500 rows here, there's only 1,000, but my formulas don't have to change, and I don't have to worry about expanding, contracting, anything like that. So that's the cumulative harm. Then whether that stuff hurts me in the moment depends on whether I'm in an empty cell. So I'm just going to do is empty, and that's going to be minus minus. This equals space. So you can see, like here, for example, I've got an empty cell. so that's not going to hurt me. So then my HP is going to be scan. I'm going to start at 100, and I'm going to go down by the cumulative harm amount if I'm in a non-empty cell. So times 1 minus that. Actually, we'll drop the scan for a second. Let's just look at that. So here I'm not getting hurt. Here I'm getting hurt 1 because I'm in a cell with this thing for an hour. Here I'm getting hurt 2 because I'm carrying this one and I'm in a cell with this one. And that builds up. I'm getting hurt 3, 4, da da da. I'm not getting hurt here because I breeze right through that cell because it's empty. That's, again, one of the many things that I missed. So now we're going to scan, start from 100, and at each stage we're going to add the next term of that. And then we just want to know when do we get to 0. And actually one other thing that I should add in here is the address, just because that'll help me. I did this in the live stream as well, just to help me understand the hints. So I want, oh, sorry, I just realized I have not brought my lambdas in, so let's grab my lambdas, because that's important. And I had a blank sheet, but never mind. I'm going to bring it in here. Shut that down. All right, get rid of that. All right, so sorry. Now I can do addresses of this. And that'll give me hopefully out to AM, yes, AN2, then back to AN3, and so on down. Good. And so the hint was that at AB2 I should run out of life, and that is exactly what happens. So that's perfect. So then I want to know my last cell, and that's going to be X match 0 against this exact match or next smaller item. That gives me row 27. Now the slight wobble on this, there is, I think, one level where you get to the end. So it says if you get to the end of the mine, which is AN40 or whatever it is, then you stop mining. So if this does not match, then we want to just go all the way through. That's just going to be rows of G5 hash. Okay, so that's the last, and then the value. I guess I probably do coins here. That's just going to be X lookup. This in MN symbol, I think I called it, returning from MN coin. So then this is going to be sum of take of this array, first 27 rows. And that is 4015, which does match the example. So let's grab that. Let's grab my sequence of 20 numbers, build a data table, and let's calculate that, and let's see. Moment of truth. Did I get it right this time? Yeah. Awesome. Okay. Next level, darts. So, again, this one I actually mostly got away with skimming the instructions. I think I ended up with all the points on this one. I made some mistakes along the way, but then I was able to kind of go back and spot them. But so, general darts rules, I don't think you even need this, but let's saying I should have just read all the instructions, and even as I go back, I'm like, I'll just skip this bit. All right, darts is a game typically played by 2 players, fine. They throw 3 darts, fine. Split into 20 sectors, fine. I know what a dartboard looks like. Each sector has a unique number from 1 to 20, same number of points if a dart lands there. Outer circle, number of points doubled. Inner circle, number of points tripled. Writing down scores. Depending on where the dart lands, they're written as follows. All 3 darts land on the 20th sector, but in different parts of it. Inner circle, scores 3 by 20, is written as T20. Yeah, if it's on the double, it's D20. If it's on the single, it's S20. So this is similar notation to other darts cases before, and I assume to how dart notation is actually written, but I have no idea about that part. Additionally, the center of the board, inner part is bull and worth 50. The outer part is worth 25 and denoted as 25. So that's enough to kind of get started with the first piece, which is just convert all these things into scores. Now, so what I did for this was I wrote bull, and I wrote 25, and I wrote 50, and I wrote 25. That's all unhelpfully behind that, but there we go. So then here I can say XLOOKUP this blob in here. I don't even need to lock because I'm doing it all in one go, returning from there. And if not found, then I'm in the realm of single, double, or triple times a number. So then I can say find left of, sorry, I should have really kept the reference, but anyway, find left of that in SDT. This is a trick I picked up from Bo. If it's single, it'll match at position 1, double will match at position 2, triple will match at position 3. Super efficient. Times mid, the same range, 2, 2. So if it's like D11, then starting from position 2, taking 2 characters will give you 11. But if it's like T5, then starting from position 2 and taking 2 characters, looking for the second and third character, there is no third character, so mid does not throw an error. It'll just say, okay, sure, here's everything from position 2 to the end. So that'll work fine. So this is what I did. Bonus points if you spot the error here before I mention that there is an error here, because it is quite subtle. So I'm going to commit that, and you see that it is going to give me nothing but 60s. So the reason for that is I think of it as a bug, but there's room for reasonable people to disagree. But so XLOOKUP can take a range of arguments, as it is doing here, and it has an if not found term. But if you give a range to the if not found term of the same dimensions as the input range, you might think that that would behave the same as saying if error XLOOKUP this thing, but it doesn't. It only takes the first value from the if not found range. So it sort of applies that if not found to each cell rather than to the blob as a whole. And so where the whole idea, in my mind at least, of having an if not found thing was that you would never have to wrap XLOOKUP in if error, you actually do have to do it if you're in this scenario. So that I did trip up on that on the live stream, so I thought I would just reproduce that to let you see what happened there. So there we go. That more accurately then is throwing value errors here, as it should, because these are not, they're not in Buller 25 and they're not matching against SDT, but that's fine because I don't need those. Okay, so now we've got so it's the players take it in turns. So the first 3 are player 1, then the next 3 are player 2, and then repeat. We've got a total of 120. So a very handy way to deal with allocating these things between players is, well, first I'm going to start with example 3, and then I'm going to XLOOKUP this in here, returning from this whole mess. Just double check those have the same, yes. Okay, so that's the whole thing. Now what I want to do is I'm going to wrap that in rows of 6, because this is player 1's first turn, player 2's first turn, then this is player 1's second turn, player 2's second turn. So if I wrap this in rows of 6, those 6 for each one's second turn will go underneath, then the next 6, then the next 6, and so on. And so what I'll have is 1 row for each pair of turns. So I'm going to wrap rows 6. And so then I get, this is each player's first turn, each player's second turn, third turn, fourth turn, and so on. So then I'm going to say take pause tab. From that, the first 3 columns, these are player 1's moves, and then I'll do some work on that, and then when I'm done, I'll just change that to a -3, and that'll be player 2's moves, and then we'll be all set. So when I skimmed the instructions, it said, you start off with 501, you throw darts, you reduce your score accordingly. So, here you start off by throwing 3 60s, which is 180, so you subtract that off, you get to 321. If at any point your score goes negative, then you reset back to the start of the turn. So if I started off on 170 and scored 180, then that would take me negative, I'd go back. So I initially just thought that applied at the whole turn level, which shows you how often I play darts. So I thought this was a very easy, a biro sum to get the total score for each turn, and then subtract that off in a way. But when that led me astray and led me to neither player finishing the first game, then I realized that actually it's if at any interim step among the 3 you go negative, then you stop there. So if I'll start off non-dynamic array style. So I start off with a 501, then I can sort of scan this minus this sum, and I get these three values. If any of these is 0, then the game ends, or that player's game ends there. If none of them is 0 and one of them goes negative, then you discard the entire turn. And if none of them goes negative, then you just take all the scores off. But I would like to try to be a little more dynamic about it. So let's try this. I think what I want is to get each of the cumulative sums. So I'm going to say by row of this, I'm going to say lambda row scan 0 row sum. And then I need to, so this will throw an error because by row is not willing. So this would be returning 3 values per row. By row is only willing to return 1 value per row. So then I'm going to say something like array to text to concatenate those. So then it says, okay, your interim scores here are 60, 120, 180, and then 50, 100, 150, and so on. So now I can scan to iterate through this. So I'm starting from a score of 501, and I can apply each round of moves as I go along. So I'm going to say scan 501. This is the array, and then what is the lambda? I'm going to say lambda, let's call it turn, and I'm going to say let scores be minus minus text split of turn by comma space. So that's going to give me my 3 scores. And then I'm going to say if or scores equals, oh, sorry, I need lambda, I'll call it cumulative score and turn, because this has to be a lambda of 2 variables. So if, let's just space this out a little more. If any of the scores is equal to my cumulative score, that means that at some point in the turn I get to 0, then 0. Otherwise, if the max of my scores is greater than my cumulative score, then that takes me negative without ever hitting 0, which means that I go back to my cumulative score. Otherwise, it's going to be cumulative score minus the max of my scores. And then just close a bunch of brackets, and I think that's it. So this, as far as I remember, this matches the description, which is player 1 sort of quickly gets down to a low score and then never quite finishes. So they get down to 321, then they get down to 171, then they get down to 21, and yeah, and they end the game with 21 points left. So I think that's working. Sorry, I'm not going to scroll because this is super wide. Okay, so that's player 1. So then let's do the same thing for player 2, which is now quite easy because we just have to take the last 3. So that's player 2, and yes, player 2 on turn 4 gets to 0. So this is P1, P2, then I think what I need to return is the loser's number of points left. What is the remaining score of the losing player? Yes. Oh, and it's funny. David asked me, and I think Giles as well, at the end of the thing, why didn't I go for bonus 3 sooner? Because bonus 3 just requires you to give the sum of these. And the answer was the exact same thing as has just happened now, which is, as soon as I had this, I was like, all right, let's go on and do something with it. Totally forgot that as soon as I had it, I could have just gone and put in some pause tab, could have gone and put in this answer. Luckily, nobody beat me to that bonus question, so I was forgiven for that sloppiness. Anyway, okay, so that's good. Back down here, and let's finish this one off. So, I think, yeah, I'll just do it slightly longhand. So I'm going to say map this min. So this is the lowest score. It doesn't, like, the player that ultimately gets to 0 might not be the player who's ahead all the time, but it doesn't matter. All you need to really know is where does the first 0 occur, and then loser. Similarly, all I really want to know is who has the higher score at the time that 0 is achieved. But I can do that by, so that I guess I'll just call this lower and higher. because winner and loser is not really accurate. So then loser final. And that is going to be XLOOKUP 0 in lower, returning from higher. And that's 21. And then we can data table. Okay. And you can see, I think that I was right in saying that if I had just slowed down and taken a few deep breaths, this might have gone a lot better for me. Because, although I'm about to hit the card level and then maybe everything will blow up. Oh, and this is just an 8 out on everything, so maybe I'm wrong. Okay, hang on. What did I put in? I put in B2. Oh, yeah, sorry. I put in the one over there instead of the one here where I actually pick it. So let's try that again. This is my input cell. And recalc. And let's hope. Like I said, I think I got this one right earlier on, so you might reasonably expect I'll get it right now. Oh, interesting. No, I got a couple of them wrong. Oh yeah, this was, maybe I got a couple of these wrong earlier as well. Okay, well, let's take a quick look and see if we can understand what's going wrong here. And if the answer is that I've missed yet another thing in the instructions, then I might cry, but never mind. All right, so let's see what's happening. So player 1 scores 31, gets down to 470, makes sense. Scores 95, gets down to 375, makes sense. Scores 86, gets down to 289. I'm just going to short circuit a little here. So they score 351 points in these turns, so that just all comes straight off. And then they score 150, so they... I bet I know what this is. I bet I know what this is. I'm not distinguishing between player 1 and player 2. Got to be more careful. So here, player 1 gets to 0. I'm returning the 70 corresponding to that, but they never, or the 77, but they never take this turn. They only get to take this turn, so they actually finish on 163. Okay, so got to be a little more careful. So what am I going to do? I'm going to say P1 finish. I'm just going to say X match 0 against this, and if error 1000, and P2 fin X match. Oops, sorry, wrong way around. I'm going to X match 0 against that, and again if error 1000. Okay, then I'm going to say if this is less than or equal to that, so if the turn on which player 1 wins is the same as the turn on which player 2 wins, then it's too late. Player 2 doesn't get to play that turn. Then we're saying XLOOKUP. No, then we're saying index player 2 by player 1 finish -1. Otherwise, we're saying index player 1 by player 2 finish. So that's, I actually kind of like that. I stuffed it up, but I appreciate that there's a little subtlety there. So now if I drop those in, am I good? I am good. Okay, so that's interesting. I did not know why I had missed a couple of questions. And honestly, I was lucky to only miss a couple of questions for that sloppiness. But okay, cool. So we're at 30 minutes and yeah, well, I'm about to run into the buzzsaw that is the card question. So I looked at the results. 2 people got out Lana Banana, which was just Jasper and I on the live stream, and 1 person in the whole world, Cedric from Madagascar, who won the whole round, which was very impressive. He was the only, I think he was the only person who scored any points on this round. And I suspect for most people it's just because they didn't have the time to get to it, because the rest of this was pretty hard. Don't forget that this is me on a do-over. So I think I'm going to come to that last. Let's do Lana Banana first, because that's actually pretty understandable for me. So we've got a monkey named Lana. She loves bananas. Her object is to collect bananas, beginning at the starting cell and moving out of the garden. So that's, this thing is the banana garden, so as not to be caught by the gardener. So you're in a flat garden, 39 by 39. You can move up, down, left, right, or diagonally. If she starts on a banana, she collects it immediately. That was a small subtlety that I ended up with an off by 1 error on like most of the answers. Lucky to be on the live stream so that I could catch that. On each turn, Lana moves toward the nearest banana around her, and there's a tiebreaker rule. So basically, you know, if there's a banana right there, eat it right away. Then you're interested in the bananas within 1, then within 2. But among the ones in any given layer, you want them in reading order. So if there's a tie, like in this case, this is 2 away, this is 2 away, this is 2 away, this is 2 away. So you go to the top row, and then within the top row, the one furthest to the left. So you'll go to C2 first. Then there's another banana here, and then you exit, as far as I remember. So if the bananas are located in the same row, she prefer the banana that's located. So sorry, yes, prefer the banana that's located on the cell with the smaller row number, and if they're on the same row, prefer the banana that's located on the smaller column number. If an edge of the garden is located closer than the nearest banana, then you run away from the garden. So in other words, here the edge of the garden is 1 away, but there's a banana 1 away. The banana is preferable. But here the closest banana is 2 away, but the edge of the garden is 1 away, so she runs out of the garden. And I think the question is just to figure out how many bananas will Lana collect before leaving the garden. So here she goes, eats this one that she starts on, then goes here for a second one, here for a third one, and then out. So the answer to example 5 is 3. Boom. Banana or cell, Lana collects it. Yeah, anyway, okay. That's the idea. So for the ideal solution to this one in my mind would be a recursive lambda, because at any given step you might need to continue to expand or you might not, depending on what you've found so far. But I still have the card question ahead, and this video is already over half an hour long. That's actually, I only started the timer after my chit chat at the start, so it's probably like 40 minutes long already. So I'm not going to attempt a recursive lambda, but maybe I'll post one later, or maybe I won't get around to it because there's so many things going on at the moment that I'll barely be able to keep up. So we're going to start off in cell D4. So let's just do cell, row, col, banana, and that's basically it. So then what I'm interested in is from here, I would like to know the row and column of every, the row and column and address of every banana. So I'm just going to name this BN, and I'm going to name this B for banana, just because that'll make it a little easier. So I'm going to say to call if BN equals B, then row of BN, otherwise NA, and 3. And so this basically says, sorry, every time I do this because it seems like a natural one step to me, and then I'm like, wait, let me explain. It's much easier to understand if I do it without the to call first. So like here, there's a banana here and a banana here. These are all empty. So this is going to give me row 2, and errors for all the rest, and then to call can be told to ignore the errors. So these are the rows of each banana. So a total of 279 bananas, which is the count we got earlier. So that's the rows. This is the columns. If I change row to columns. And then I also want the addresses, which I'll use my handy dandy. Actually, I don't even need to use my handy dandy lambda for you. I can just use the real address function here. This, and 1. Sorry, not 1, 4. Because I wanted to wait, AM2, what? Oh, this is not good. Oh, sorry. Yeah, look at this. I think I made this mistake earlier today as well. I typed in rows instead of row, and it took me a second to realize what. So what threw me off here was like, wait, why are these all AM2? And then of course I look here and they're all 39. That's because I'm saying columns. So the number of columns in the range is 39. So this is saying if there's a banana, give me 39, otherwise blank. What I want is the column number. That is a very different thing. So now here are the addresses of all my bananas. So I'm going to call this B add for B address. I'm going to call this BRC for banana row column. So now, for this first one, I can say row of indirect of this, and I can say column of indirect of this. Wait, what? D4? Yeah, D4 is 4, 4. Okay. A moment of panic that they were the same, but that's okay. And then banana, I just want index BN by this minus 1 and this minus 1. The reason for the minus 1s is that my BN range starts here, but my row and column numbers start at A1. Okay, so then I want to find out what is the closest banana, and I thought about this. Let's just do dist to edge. So the distance to the edge is just the column number minus the column number of the edge, which is 1, is the distance to the left edge. The column number over here, which I think is 41, is 41. So 41 minus the column number is the distance to the right edge, and similar thing for the top and bottom. So this is going to be the min of the row minus 1, the column minus 1, 41 minus the row, and 41 minus the column. Okay, and so now I'm interested in getting the list of, so I'm going to say filter BRC, so I want to know basically what are the bananas that I have not yet eaten. So right now there's just D4, but I'm going to have this build out. So I'm going to say where is error X match B add, so banana address, against this colon, and I'm going to lock the starting point. And I'll show you in a second, but that will mean that it expands out. So filter where that's an error. So that gives me all of these. And then if I put that like over here, you'll see that that now refers to the range of all the earlier bananas visited, which is currently empty, but we'll fill it. Okay, so these are all the places I'm going. Then I'm interested in the distance. So I'm going to say let RC, call it RC cand for RC candidates, row column candidates, be that. I'm going to work out the distance, which is going to be RC candidate minus 2 row of this. So the starting point is 4, 4. So first, just give me that. So we'll get minus 2 and minus 1. So obviously I need to wrap that in an absolute. And then because I can move diagonally, the diagonal distance is just the larger of the row and column distances. So then I just need by row of this whole thing, comma, max. So that's the distance. So then, and they're important to mention, because of the reading order for toCal, these are already listed in reading order. So if I look at, basically if I have an array of distances, and if I look up 0 in that, look up 0 in that matching against the next larger, it'll match against the smallest value, and it will match against the first appearance of the smallest value. So in other words, in this case, the smallest value is 2, but there's a 2 here, and a 2 here, and a 2 here, and another 2 somewhere further down here. So if I say X match 0 against distance, exact match, or next larger item, it will match against the smallest item and against the first occurrence of that, which is exactly the banana that I want to get. So instead of X match, I'm going to say X lookup, 0 in distance, returning from my RC candidates. What? RC candidate is supposed to be 2 columns. What is going on here? What? I'm very confused. What? It won't give me the preview of that because that's up here. All right, if I just pull that out for a second, that's RC cand. Yeah, there it is, looking all large and stuff. Let's go out again. Still just giving me one thing. Have I got a hidden column? No. What's stale value? Yeah, sure, but calculate? No, it's still. I'm so confused. Look up in distance, returning. Oh, sorry. Because it's saying if not found, because the order of arguments for XLOOKUP is slightly different from XMatch. Okay, there we go. And then I want to call that so that it flattens out like this. But I also want to check if the closest distance is is closer than the edge. So one more thing. Well, two more things. So first I want to say if the min of dist is less than or equal to, because you only go to the edge if it's closer than the nearest banana, to that, then I want all this stuff. But if it's not, then I want you to give me x. Okay. So then I can add, is there a banana? I can add distance to the edge, and then I can carry on and carry on and carry on. Oh, sorry, yeah, because I'm looking for the address to give me, so I'm looking for the address to tell me if I've already visited. So this is just going back and forth between the same couple of bananas. So there we go. So I go to D4, to C2, to D2, and then I hit an X. Now, the other thing is this is now throwing a value error and getting all confused. So I want to add one more thing here, which is I'm going to say if this equals X, then X, otherwise do all this stuff. And that'll short circuit a lot of the calculations. That's something I did not do on the day and would have, because this bit was calculating very slowly for me. So I'm going to say if that equals X, then X, otherwise this. And here, yeah, I'll say that here as well, just to be safe. If this equals X, then X, otherwise all that stuff. And I'll put it in one more place, which is up here. Oh, I put in two equal signs. Whoops. Okay. All right. And then we can copy across, and there's no errors. I just need to make this a certain width. And then I just need to say countifs. This, and I'll just go out to that width for now, is B. And that's my 3. And then got a data table that. Column input cell is, wait, did I? No, okay. So example 5, XLOOKUP, example 5 in here, returning from here. Okay, and now I can data table it. And my variable cell is this, recalc, and fingers crossed. Oh, sorry, the one thing just to check. Oh, okay, so I've picked a big enough number already. Oh, no, sorry, I don't know that I've picked a big enough number already. So, because the way I originally did this was an X match of an X against here, but then that gave me an off by 1 if this was not a banana. So what I'm going to do is X match X against this, and we'll rerun the table and make sure that there is always an X, because if there's not, that means that I need to expand out to more columns. So rerun. No, there's always an X. Okay, fine. Then we're good. So hopefully these are okay. I think I got this one right on the day, so it'd be kind of embarrassing if I got it wrong now. All right. So that leaves me with 15 minutes to tackle the black beast that is the card question. And I'm probably going to spend 5 minutes of those just reading the instructions carefully, because that's what I should have done earlier and I didn't. So, recently invented a new one-player card game. Before the start of the game, the card deck is shuffled, the cards are dealt one by one. Start with 0 points. Your goal is to score points by putting together card sequences. Every time you deal a card, you check whether the card finishes a sequence together with any of the cards that were dealt previously. A sequence is defined as either 3 cards of the same value or 3 or more consecutive cards of the same suit. So, first mistake I made here was, well, I made so many mistakes in this, but first I read this as either 3 cards of the same value or 3 cards of the same suit, or both combined. So that obviously was a totally different logic, but also based on one of the earlier card games, I think this was one from the qualifier round last year. There was one where like you were basically looking at what a given card completed among the last 5 cards that had been dealt. So I initially thought we were looking at these cards, 3 by 3. So we'll look at these 3, and then these 3, and then these 3, and we're just interested in knowing either are they all the same suit or are they all the same card, which is a much easier question. Anyway, okay. After the sequence is completed, you add the resulting number of points to your running score. All the cards that form the sequence get discarded. They can't take part in sequences anymore. You continue the game until all the cards are dealt. Aces are high but not low. So this sequence is not possible, and that is reflected in the position of the ace here. Now I'm just going to, oops, I noticed David called me out for making a pro move here. So here I've got numbers and text, but also I've got one two-character thing and a bunch of one-character things. If I just take the left of those, these are all unique and they're all text, and so this is something that I can match. That I can match the kind of left piece of this against without having to worry about length. I actually have in my Lambda file, I have a stored variable called card_ord, but since that is listed low to high and lists ace at the bottom instead of the top, better off to just use this. So I'm going to call this cards, call this points, I'm going to call this STS for suits, and it's just called coefficient. I thought I was going to have to find replace x here, but that's actually just the formatting. They are just numbers, so I'm going to call that st coef. Okay. Sorry, so aces are high but not low, so ace 2 3 is not a possible sequence. Note that there's no strategy in the game, you just need to calculate the number of points, which would be completely dependent on the sequence of cards dealt. Okay. Scoring rules. A card's value is determined by multiplying its base points with the suit coefficient. So the value of an ace of hearts is 25 times 9 is 225. The value of 2 of hearts is 2 times 3 is 6. Wait, what? Oh, sorry. That's formatted red, but that is actually the 2 of spades. Okay. Sequence scores you as many points as the product of the values of the individual cards that comprise the sequence. Example, your sequence contains 3 aces, which are worth this, this, and this. Multiply them together, you get 5 million points. After you complete and score the sequence, the 3 aces can't take part in any other sequence. Okay, so this one's definitely going to be a model, so we'll call this CRD cards. This is level 4, so let's start with example 4. We'll XLOOKUP this in here, just B, returning from G to BF. Okay, so that's the cards. I'm going to put them down a column, I think, just because I prefer it that way. Let's come down here. So card. Let's quickly figure out the points. So that's going to be XLOOKUP left of this in, I call it cards, returning from points. PTS points, PTS, yes. Oh, sorry. I did this like 4 times on the live stream today. I didn't close my left and I didn't close my right. And for some reason, no matter how many times I did it, I couldn't stop making the same mistake. Anyway, that times XLOOKUP right of the same range, C5 hash, close bracket this time, in STS returning from ST coefficient. And so just a quick example, it said that an ace of hearts, I think, should be 225. There's an ace of hearts, 225, good. It said that a 2 of spades, even though it was red, should be worth 6, and it is good. Fine. So, so then, a couple of things. I'm going to do more or less what I did on the day, but just build it up a little more carefully. So I'm going to have my hand here. One mistake that I definitely made on the day was or no, not mistake, just overcomplicated. So I want my hand to be like the list of cards that I've got. So it's going to look something like this. But if you sometimes use up all the cards in your hand, then you have to deal with. So like I'm going to use text split and filter and other things to play around with this, like to split it out by that and filter it to remove things and blah blah blah, and then put it back together. But if you have to deal with an exception every time that the filter returns 0 values because you've matched all your cards, then that's a pain in the butt. So actually a smart thing to do here would be to just start off with something in your hand that never matches anything. So like XX or whatever. So I'm just going to start off with one card in my hand, which is XX. And I'm just going to have, I think I'll have hand pre-matches, and then I'll do some checks for matches, and then I'll have a hand post. So this is just going to be text join, not text join with a comma, I'm going to join the old hand with this. And sorry, somewhere over here I'm going to have hand post. And so this is actually the one that I want to point that to. Okay, so now I've got XX and a queen. So now I want to know, do I have, what is it, three of the same type or a run of suits? So first type, question mark, and it specifically does the last card completed. So what I want to do is count awk, count the occurrences of this suit in this string, which is 0. That is definitely not good. Sorry, I think I've got this the wrong way around. So yes, sorry, this is the string and this is the substring. Got to practice my own lambdas. Anyway, okay, so that's type, and that has to be greater than or equal to 3. So that's false. And then the tricky part is the consecutiveness. So let's do cards and 2-row suits. So that's all the cards. So then I think what I want is count if this, no. No, sorry, never mind. Yes, what I want is, I want to X match this. No, not X match, sorry, I want to search for each of these in the hand pre. I'm going to wrap that in minus minus is number, so that I just get a 1 where it matches and a 0 where it doesn't. And then I'm interested in knowing, do I have 3 in a row in any one of these columns? So I'm going to do by call this concat, and I'm going to do search in that. Find text should be 111 in that, and that's going to give all errors. And then I'm going to say is number, because it'll be a number if it finds it somewhere, otherwise it'll be a fail. And then I'm going to say or of all that. So that'll tell me if there is a run same suit. This part, I mean, A, I made the logic more convoluted earlier today, but also B, I just misunderstood what this was supposed to be multiple times. So first I thought it was only that you just had to have 3 of the same suit anywhere. Then I thought it had to be exactly 3, but actually it's different if, oh, sorry, I just realized I got to be careful with this, because here I have the full values. So oh, that would have killed me. So let's just substitute in here 1 to 10, and now that'll actually work. Okay. Whew, all the things that can trip you up. So then, my hand post is going to be filter text split of this by comma, and for now let's just say 1. So they're all in. So now I want to say if there's a match on type, then I want to say sorry, just really I gotta give this a name because I'm going to be using this over and over again. So let CRDS be that. Then I want to filter CRDS. Then we'll say type match is going to be left. CRDS equals left of this. So I'm going to say if type. So if we have a type match, then the ones that I want to remove are where the left of that is equal to the left of that. Otherwise, so I'm going to remove those, otherwise 0. No, I want not this. No, I don't need to do that, I just need to do this. So I want to remove the ones where it does not match So I want to keep the ones where it does not match. Otherwise, if we don't have a type match, then I want to keep everything based on type. Now, this part is going to be much more complicated, which is the suit match. And that is going to be what? Well, if we have a run, then I want to know God, this is so complicated. Okay, so I'm gonna hit my hour. I'm gonna run out of time and not get this done. So that's a shame. But oh well. It's a shame, but also there is no shame in that. Even on my do-over, couldn't do it. It's gonna be a very long video. There's probably a simpler way to do this, but let's stick at it. So let's do this. Let's say suit hits. I'm going to say X match CRDS. So match the cards against against the column that has that relevant suit. So I'm going to say index this blob. Anyway, index that. The row number is going to be 0. And the column number is going to be X match the right of this. So I'm interested in matching against the column that contains the current suit, because I'm only interested in cards of the current suit. Those are the only ones that could possibly come out. So X match the right of that against STS. That's the column number. So we get that. Then I'm just going to temporarily delete everything else and just return suit hits. See what that looks like. And that gives me, so this is a 3 of the relevant suit, and this does not match the relevant suit. And that's basically a good start. So then I'm going to say, I'm going to call it in run. Oh, how the heck am I doing this? I know, one thing that I want here, instead of the is number, I'm going to say to call. So sorry, let me come back to here for a second. So this spelled out value, 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 value. But if it finds the 111 in one of them, then it'll tell you where it found it. And I think that that is going to help. So I'm going to say to call that by 3. So that'll give me the number where it matched. So for example, if I've got King, Queen, Jack, then it'll say starting in row 2. If I've got 8765, it'll say starting in row, whatever row that is, row 7. And then I'm going to say if error in A. So now rather than just telling me if there is a match, it's telling me there's a match starting in what position. And then I guess I could also say, let's take the same bycall. Then yeah, I can say text after. Text after 111. And then text before that 0. And if that ever gives a real value, then I can extract it with to call, ignoring the errors, and the length of that will be how much more than the basic 3 I get. So len of that, and finally if error NA. So for example, if I complete a run of 5, then the text after 111, text after this, yes, after 111, but before the next 0, and I guess I'll need to say match at the end, will tell me how many additional ones there are beyond the 3. So if I match my 111 against 1111, then that'll tell me there's one more here. And my confidence that this is working exactly is relatively low, but I'll try and test it out in a minute, hopefully. Okay, so then that's my suit hits. So then I want sorry, let's do this. I want suit hits greater than or equal to this. That's where your first hit is. And suit hits less than or equal to that plus this minus 1. And that should throw nothing but errors, which is fine. So then I'm going to say suit remove, and that is going to be if this is not NA, then it's going to be 1 minus this. Those are the ones that I'll keep. Yes. Otherwise, 1. And then I think I can say filter CRDS by type match times suit rem. I don't think I've written this terribly well, but I think that's basically the idea, and then we'll text join these back together. And we'll do a little bit of testing, and then just give up and cry if it still doesn't work, because this video is getting too long. So then we add another queen to that. It doesn't have any matches, nothing happens. Then we add a king to that, nothing happens. Now here we should have a type match, because we've got 3 queens. And I did it on the right instead of the left, so that's just stupid, but also easily fixed. So okay, good. So then I take out my 3 queens. We're all happy. We'll work out scoring in a minute, but just find where do we next. Okay, so yes, so I remember it said we get, no, what? Oh yeah, so we get the 4, the 5, and the 3. So then here we should take them all out, but we don't, which means that this is not working, which is a little disappointing. So let's see what's going on here. What? Oh, you tell me. They didn't lock it. Stupid. Okay, fine. So lock and lock. Okay, so that gives me 10 and 3, and something is going horribly wrong here. Okay, well, that's a start at least. Let's just call that out, and let's do some quick auditing. So show me suit hits first. Okay, we need some more space, that's fine. Let's move this up. So I've got an 11, a 10, and a 12, which corresponds to these last few rows. That makes perfect sense. So then show me suit rem. Okay. These are zeros. So if that's not equal to NA, 1 minus that. Okay, so then I just need to say if error. All of that stuff, comma 1, I think. And then if I go back to output, is that going to be happy? Yes, it's got rid of the right cards. So then I put that back up there. Then I can carry on down until the end. Okay, so then I need to work out the scores of the cards that have been removed. So I'm just gonna say remove, well, just say score. So first, filter all of this nonsense by 1 minus. That'll tell you what's removed. I'll just say, sorry, get rid of the text join piece because I just want the list of cards. This is to score. We're going to say if error to score, then 0. So, and that's all 0, but then here I should get score is good. So then, then I'm going to say if error product of XLOOKUP to score in here lock returning from, oops, what? Try that again, in here lock. Oh yeah, it's doing this weird thing where it highlights it after again. It's kind of annoying. I thought they'd fix that. Anyway, returning from there. So we do the XLOOKUP, we do the product, and if that throws an error, we give a 0. And that gives me 1,063,125, which is good. Haha. Okay. Then we come down here to the next time we remove and we score 656, 100. Yes, beautiful. And we go all the way down and we score 711326160. 711. Oh, yeah, beautiful. Okay, so it took 1,000 years longer than the target time, and I guess this is a good time to say one more time, congratulations to Cedric. I feel like not only did you get the top score, but you seem to have done it by like hacking your way down the very hardest path in the entire game. My hat is off to you. That was super impressive. I really hope that this now checks out when I data table it, because if it doesn't, I don't think I have the energy in me to go and fix it if it doesn't. Okay. Cross your fingers. Oh, I'm still. Oh, I'm not. I was going to say I'm still not all right. I'm not even close to all right. Many mistakes. All right. Well, I'm going to pause the video here. I will briefly attempt to debug it. If I find what went wrong, I will append that on the end. If I don't, then I just give up. I'm tired. It's been a long day. That's all I got. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Okay, it took me quite a bit of searching, but I think I have found what went wrong. I suppose the hint should have been when I said I'm not at all confident that this is going to work correctly. So if you remember, I had this weird thing where whatever I would convert the list of found things into something like this, and then I would say, okay, find a 111 in that. But then I wanted to find out, was the sequence longer than that? So I would say text after that, and then from that I would say text before 0, and that would give me, if there was a fourth one or a fifth one there, it would give me that. I did say that I was a little unsure whether the match end would work. I really should have just done a simple test. If I say text before, like text before 1 before 0, that gives an error, and if I say match end, still, actually, no, that just works. Well, anyway, the specific case that was throwing an error was this one. So in this case, I wanted it to say, well, I matched the 0 at the end, so the text before that is still an empty string, but that instead threw an error. So there are certainly more elegant ways to fix this, but the totally inelegant way to fix it, because it is almost 11 p.m. here, is just to say, instead of having a match end, I'm just going to have an if not found, and just put in the entire text after text again. And that will do its thing, and then if I recalculate the data table, everything is good. And then I realized that I have not done the last bonus question, the sum of the values of all the remaining cards in the games that were not used in sequences. So I think that's a pretty simple one. It is going to be, sorry, let's come over to my data table because I can put it there. It's going to be sum of, some pause tab of XLOOKUP, pause tab, text split, pause tab. So I'm going to split my final cards in hand. I'm going to split it on a comma. I'm going to look that up in my list of cards. I'm going to return from my list of points. And if not found, because I have this XX card that I used to make sure that I would never have a truly empty hand, if not found, 0, because that should not contribute to the sum. And the real moment of truth now will be, does this work out? And again, just to reiterate, I mean, I'm sure he did it a smarter way than I have done, because the logic of this is bending even my mind. But Cedric, wow. I have no trouble believing that nobody got this case finished. I have some trouble believing that one person got it finished. And like, if he had got nothing else out and just spent the entire hour on this, be like, okay, sure, fair play. But he actually got like most of the rest out as well. So, yeah, very impressive. This took me well over an hour, even on a do-over. I thought that if I just kind of came back to it with a level head, it would all be, well, I mean, I think it was smoother for everything except the card case, which was still monstrously hard, unless I just missed an easier way to do it, which is definitely possible. Some time to reflect on a better structure would probably pay dividends here, but you don't really have that in an hour. Anyway, that's what I got for today. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Just a small addendum to the addendum to say, I think I have figured out a way to do this that is not so complicated that it's stupid. But like I said, it is 11 p.m., so I'm not going to do that right now, but at some point later in the week, I might do a third run at this crazy card case and see if I can produce a more elegant solution, because I'm pretty sure I've got a way now. But that really is all I've got for today. Thanks for watching. See you next time.